David Dobrik is back on YouTube after years of not uploading, and he just uploaded a new vlog that shows his complete body transformation. Yep, that's right, David Dobrik got ripped, but you know what? His return to YouTube is not really being celebrated like most people would think it would be. From all kinds of different lawsuits to, really injuring his friend, there's been all kinds of different controversies that have popped up with David Dobrik and his YouTube channel over the past few years. And, he kind of left the platform. And now the question arises, should he be allowed back on the platform? Or really, does David Dobrik deserve a second chance on YouTube? And that's exactly what we're going to be discussing today. All right, so just a quick background on who David Dobrik is. He was a Viner. He was on Vine making, short 7-second videos. And when Vine shut down, if you don't know, a whole bunch of influx of Vine creators jumped onto YouTube. Other creators are Jake Paul, Logan Paul, a whole bunch of different ones that are kind of doing like sketch comedy on YouTube. And, David Dobrik was one of them. And he had this thing called the Vlog Squad, which was basically a daily vlog that he was putting out. I don't know if it was daily, but it was very often. Of just him and his friends doing all kinds of crazy things, challenges, just kind of normal YouTube culture at the time. This is, back in 2018, 2020-ish. And, he blew up pretty quick. His vlogs, unlike other creators, were more just like comedy and funny. And like, it was more for a younger crowd. Like a lot of things were kind of sexualized on there and just kind of a lot of like risque and kind of rated PG-13 or rated R even type content was being published. And I think that was part of the secret sauce for him. But in creating all these kind of outlandish videos, he crossed the line many times. And, it was one of those things where people say like, you got to do it for the gram. He was like definitely doing it for the YouTube on every single video. And it was pretty messed up. So Grant, did you ever watch any of those videos back then?
Yeah, I watched some of his videos. I never binged them or anything, but I absolutely watched at least 10 David Dobrik videos over the years.
Okay. And over those 10 videos, like, why do you think he blew up so quickly? Like, what can the viewers of this podcast, what can they gain from what David was able to do? Why was he so popular?
He was fun. Every video was 420, right? That was the length of every video, right? That's fun. Obviously, that's not the reason he's popular, but he really figured out a way to distill the most interesting moments, the most fun moments throughout the day or whatever it was he was doing, and putting only that in the video. If you watch an Emma Chamberlain video, it's like the opposite. And obviously she has done great, but her vlogs they're like all vibes. It's sometimes it moves very slow. And then David Dobrik, total opposite approach. I think she would release once a week. And he would release every day, right? It was every day, wasn't it?
It might have been 3 days a week or something like that, but it was often.
Okay. Yeah. It was a lot. Yeah, It was a lot. And the fact that he was even able to have so many of those moments where, giving somebody a Lamborghini or whatever it is and distilling that into the video, it was just like boom, 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 boom. Whereas Casey Neistat uses kind of like a 3-act structure, intro, middle, end. Dobrik was just like boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he was popular. And like you said, he was willing to do whatever it took to get the shot, to do the fun thing, to do the crazy thing. And yeah, I was always impressed by him until, the controversies came out, in which case my feelings became much more mixed, shall we say.
Yeah. And I would say kind of my takeaways from what made him successful were, he almost invented like the style of, maybe not invented, but he definitely mastered the style of like the video is about one thing, right? Like the title is like, I gave my friend a Tesla, right? And that's the title. And then the thumbnail is like, totally, I gave my friend a Tesla. So you click on the video and you're like, all right, I'm about to see what this is about. He gave his friend a Tesla, but the whole video would play. And that part was not until the very end. And it could have only been like a 5-second part of the video. It was a very short part maybe, but it wouldn't be till the end. But you would think like, oh, that's terrible strategy. People will click away if they don't get what they want immediately. But I think for him, everything was just so entertaining that the second you clicked on the video, like you weren't going to click off because like you said, it was boom, 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 boom. But every single boom was something crazy happening in the video, or just a hilarious scene. Like, it didn't have to be crazy. It could be just him, a girl, and another friend sitting on the couch talking, but they always just made it like so funny. And it was like, rated R humor, but it was funny. And so you would get to like kind of go along on a day where it seemed like it was just kind of an unplanned day, but they would, go over to their friend's apartment. And now all of a sudden they were doing something with a pizza, or, a lot of times there was a lot of partying happening and, going out and stuff like that, which was entertaining. But for him, he created like what I thought was a binge worthy YouTube channel. Cause myself personally, I binged his content a lot. Like, I watched one, I just got hooked. I thought it was so funny. It was the funniest content I'd ever seen. And people would just binge it, and that's good for the algorithm. That would keep people watching, get people clicking. So I do think that he was good at creating those teasers that ended at the end, and just a very good master storyteller.
Yeah, totally agree. Talented guy, very driven, like truly impressive. His YouTube prowess is incredibly impressive. And, we can talk about all the other things as well, but that's important to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Real recognize, real respect the grind for what he had going on, because he was definitely working hard creating these videos because they were coming out often. But also, this kind of struck the, curiosity of somebody named Casey Neistat, who was kind of the OG of vlogging, and he was like impressed by what David was doing. And so at some point along this journey, Casey Neistat decided to make a documentary. He wanted to make a documentary of what he thought was some of the best video creating that he'd ever seen, some of the best vlogging he'd ever seen. And it was about David Dobrik. And as he kind of started getting this documentary going, that's when these allegations started rolling out. And the allegations, the first thing I guess I would say is that happened that kind of opened up the can of worms and made people kind of look at the past and, is he going too far? Is they were shooting a scene, I think at some sort of lake, maybe it was in the ocean, and they had a giant crane. And this giant crane had
an excavator, right? Technically.
Right, excavator, yeah, like an excavator. It was swinging people around on a rope and then dropping them into the water. And according to Jeff Wittick, who was next up to go on there, David was very pushy about getting people up there to do that. He wanted to get that shot. And so Jeff was up and he did it. And there was an accident. And he smacked his head into the excavator, got really injured. I think he lost sight in one of his eyes. He had to get a bunch of surgery. And that was the first lawsuit. Did you ever hear about that?
Yeah, I did. I watched some of Jeff's podcast as well and kind of heard him talking about it. And the whole situation, clearly he felt like David pressured him into doing this thing that he didn't want to do. And then it also sounds like David was controlling the excavator at the time, I believe. There clearly just wasn't enough safety protocols, and when Jeff swung and hit his face on the thing, at first he didn't blame David, as far as I know. He was, or at least like publicly, he was being really nice to David, and it was only after David kind of left him out to dry. Didn't pay any medical bills. He wasn't just helping him. I think the biggest thing was he said he didn't really hear from David during all the surgeries and all the recovery and all that. So he felt like as a friend, he wasn't really there for him during this really difficult time. Definitely let's fact check that David was controlling the excavator. However, I do remember Jeff saying that he just felt as a friend that he was left out to dry, and David just kind of moved on with his life and it wasn't that important. Then you get all these like sociopath allegations, like he doesn't care about Jeff, he doesn't care about anybody, which adds all kinds of fuel to the fire. But he's jacked now, so that's cool.
Yeah, and Jeff was part of this vlog squad, right? The vlog squad was just basically all these different people that seemed like David Dobrik kind of handpicked to be a part of these vlogs. And, I don't know what kind of compensation they were getting. It didn't seem like they were probably getting paid, but they were getting the opportunity, right, to be in these videos, and kind of, they were all, influencers themselves trying to make it on social media. So help bring clout to their name. And, there's even like an old washed up comedian guy that was in the videos. I can't remember his name, but he was like the old guy. And they all kind of had these roles. Like the girl, she was supposed to be kind of slutty in these videos. And that's kind of like the persona she had. But they were all like fake personas, but they weren't personas that you would want to have where everyone that's watching the video thinks it's real, right? Thinks it's just a vlog. These are their real lives. But they were all kind of acting these different characters, except for David. Like he was like the innocent one, right? In all the videos. Oh, David doesn't drink. Oh, David doesn't party. Oh, he doesn't hook up with girls. That was David's character. While everyone else had these, oh, I'm the old guy. Oh, I'm the creep, right? There was this one guy that was the creep, right? That was always kind of pushy with girls and stuff like that. His name was Dirty Dom in the videos. And it came out later that this guy was like a sexual predator, basically. Maybe, I don't know exactly what the allegations were, but I think they were, rape and stuff like that. So David got blamed for that, building this guy into a character and giving him a platform and that kind of stuff. So that's another kind of part of the controversy, along with all these other different small, maybe more micro infractions. But the Vlog Squad, as far as you and your video creator journey, if you're watching this, like, how can you incorporate other people into your videos to make them more interesting? Because that truly does. As soon as you bring like a cast, it could just be your wife, it could be your friends, it could be your parents. But if you can bring other people into your story and kind of build that story with the content you're creating, that makes for a lot better content. What do you think, Grant?
It's true. Yeah, it makes things more dynamic. Also, people like people who have friends. And, if there's other people in your videos, that's proof that you have friends, even a wife, you're getting laid or somebody loves you. That it reflects well on you.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that everything besides kind of being too pushy that David was doing and kind of these different kind of risque topics and stuff was just good practice for video creating. But nonetheless, as we know with Mr. Beast and the other episodes we've done on Logan Paul and all these other creators, like, you cannot cross the line. If you are a creator, you should always err on the side of, this could get me canceled someday, I should not do it. Like, that's kind of the discovery as we dig more and more into these different creators facing all these different controversies. Like, you will get called out immediately. No, it might not be career ending and all that kind of stuff, but you will be called out. That's, I think, a good lesson that creators should learn.
Though it's interesting, like, with that lesson, like, so many of the most successful people didn't have that mindset. They weren't worried about going too far. They were worried about not going far enough. And that seems to be the magic formula for a lot of these really successful people. But we now see the consequences of it. We've had time to see that play out. And yeah, clearly there's a middle ground here that I think is important to walk if one is to live a good life and also not get in a bunch of hot water. Good to avoid that if possible.
Yeah, totally. And another thing that kind of brought us to create this episode today is recently Casey Neistat went on to Jeff Wittick's podcast, Jeff Wittick being the guy who is suing David Dobrik for $10 million, and he's the guy who got injured. And he brought Casey Neistat on, and he asked some pretty hard questions. He said, Casey went to create that documentary about the best YouTube creator of all time, David Dobrik. And then as he was creating it, all these controversies kind of started coming out. And Casey kind of switched the documentary to be like, okay, I'm just going to tell the truth right now. What's the state of David Dobrik, what he has going on, all these allegations. And from my understanding, that's what Casey Neistat did. He created that documentary that told the truth, yet he never released it. That thing did not get released for a very long time. And that's what Jeff Wittick was asking is, hey, why are you protecting David? Why were you protecting David by not releasing that? And Casey Neistat basically said, when I first started making this documentary, me and David Dobrik were friends. I was doing it as a friend. I admired him. As these kind of allegations started to come out, now all of a sudden I decided I had to do what's right and tell the truth. Now I have this friendship with David Dobrik. I have this documentary. And honestly, Casey Neistat said, I just felt uncomfortable releasing it. Like, I wasn't trying to protect him, but I did feel scared releasing it and destroying our relationship. But eventually it did come out, right, Grant? You said that you heard that it was shown to a small viewership.
Yeah, there was, I don't remember exactly where, but it was basically film festivals. So it was in-person viewership. It was never posted online anywhere, as far as I know. But it was shown to some crowds. However large they were, I don't know.
So, okay, yeah, he did release it to like a small audience or whatever, but it doesn't sound like he's kind of released it super publicly yet. I'm sure there'll be a day where it comes out. But the reason that this is also interesting is because David Dobrik did make his comeback to YouTube 2 days ago. Literally 2 days ago, he uploaded again for the first time in over 2 years. And he released almost like a Nelk style vlog. It was a long vlog that he gave away a bunch of Teslas. That's kind of his thing too. And he almost is a pioneer in that regard too, where he was the kind of the first person that was giving away cars and stuff like that. He gave a bunch of Teslas away in the video, but also he revealed his body transformation. And Grant, I know you, before the episode, kind of Googled that real quick to see what it looked like. And what was your impression of the body transformation?
I mean, can I share my screen? I mean, this is, here he is. All right. Yeah. I mean, wow. Look at this. Like before, he looks like a normal guy. After, he looks like he's training for a bodybuilding competition. Like this is the type of bod you'd see on stage. Truly, he's you know, he's doing what he's got to do to be jacked, and I respect that.
Yeah,
that's
not easy. Click on that one that says 50 pounds. That's Jason Nash. That was the kind of the old guy that I said was in the vlogs. Do you see where it says 50 pounds right there on the second row?
This one.
Yeah. So look at all of these members of the vlog squad have all basically done some body transformations because one of them is very into fitness and he's a trainer and stuff. And he has helped them all kind of achieve this body transformation, which is absolutely insane. It looks like they're just not eating, but nonetheless, David wanted to show off his new bod. And the question is he back? You know, is David Dobrik back on the platform? Are we going to start getting those 3 uploads a week of him and his crazy life and him and his creativity, creating some very good vlogs? And my guess is like, yes, I think he is finally back. In that video, he announced he was going to come back with his podcast. He had a podcast called Views, I think it was called. Him and that guy, Jason Nash, host it. And that was in that video too. So it seems like he kind of took a year to get his body right, and now he's back. How do you feel about that, about David Dobrik coming back to YouTube?
Well, I feel like, you know, YouTube always had an open invitation to him. I don't think he should be banished from YouTube. I also think anybody who feels like he is in the wrong or is not to be trusted or whatever, you don't have to watch him. So I'm always in favor of the court of public opinion doing its thing. I generally don't like censorship or any kind of like canceling. Makes sense sometimes, I guess. We could philosophize about that all day, but I just feel like he can be on YouTube if he wants, and if you don't want to watch him, don't watch him. You know, a lot of what happened, I don't agree with, but I feel like it was only a matter of time before he came back. And clearly he's doing it big. Like he transformed himself on a physical and personal level. And didn't he have a podcast like right before all this happened? So he's basically restarting that, is what I'm hearing.
Yep. Yeah, that podcast I think is called Views. Is the podcast. Right. So he's bringing that back because he stopped doing that, and then back with the vlogs. And the thing about that podcast is his co-host is that guy Jason Nash, and it's kind of sad to say, but Jason Nash basically relies on David Dobrik for income, to be relevant, you know. And when David Dobrik kind of disappeared, stopped uploading, canceled the podcast, Jason Nash kind of disappeared too. And there's kind of a joke about him because he goes on TikTok and goes live and basically begs people for money, asks for money on his lives. He'll go live for like multiple hours on TikTok and people send him money. And that's basically what he's been doing. And a lot of people have been kind of making fun of him for that. Because he
Fair.
was kind of top
Definitely
of his game.
fair.
Yeah, because it was kind of odd, to be honest. But yeah, he's kind of, Jason Nash is an interesting guy, like a comedian, stand-up comedian, actor who's had a lot of success, in his career, but at the same time finds himself, I think, 50 something years old, not married. I don't know if kids are in his life, that kind of thing. And just unhappy. So I think he's going to have his second chance. And I think him and David are pretty funny together. So it's good news for them. And I'm with you. Like, I think people should welcome David Dobrik back. I think he needs to learn his lesson and stay away from guys like Dirty Dom, and don't promote things that are just, you got to keep it a little bit more PG on YouTube when knowing that kids are the ones watching these videos. Like, it's not adults like ourselves. It's a little bit, but it's really kids. So, there's a responsibility, I think, that all famous people have, whether you're an athlete or a YouTuber or, whatever, a race car driver. Like, you have to understand kids look up to you. And if you're not going to try to leverage that in a positive way, then you're almost like a villain in my eyes. So, yeah, I think he should definitely come back, start creating some great content. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely want to watch the Jeff Wittick and Casey Neistat interview. That should be interesting because, as far as how I feel about David Dobrik, and all the things that came out against him, yeah, I feel like I need to kind of refresh on exactly like this really new information. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I'll check out his vlog for sure. Or I did check out his vlog. I mean, but I'll check out his future vlogs. There we go. I can talk. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about all of it. I mean, I don't like it. I think he deserves to come back, and I'll have to sleep on it. And there's a lot to emotionally get my brain around right now.
Yeah, and so the good news is, there's something for us to follow along now. Let's see what happens with David Dobrik. Let's see if he's learned his lesson. Let's see if he still pushes those limits, because my guess is he probably will, knowing him and his past. So we'll see. And if you guys like today's episode and you're watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe, hit the like button too, leave us a comment, let us know what you want to discuss. We'll bring that to you. If you're listening on any audio platform, you can follow us there as well. Hope you guys like today's episode, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Later, everyone.